And joining us now to discuss all of this is Colonel in Reserves Miri Eisen from the Institute for Counterterrorism. Thank you, Miri, for joining us.
Thank you, Sivan. Always a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. Miri, we're hearing about the IDF advancing inside Gaza, deploying 5 divisions. What do you think are the primary objectives of this new phase, and how does it differ from the previous military operations?
We're talking about a pre-planned, coordinated 5 divisions. That's already different. I want to remind everybody in October of 2023, when we started a ground operation, it was after 2 weeks of fighting where we still didn't even know how many hostages there were exactly, how many Israelis had been killed in that initial attack of October 7th. So already we're talking about a different scale. 5 divisions is a large amount of troops. We're also talking about entering simultaneously, both in the north and in the south, and as we all heard, also in what I would call the central area of Khan Yunis. So the IDF is activating right now in different areas at the same time, and in larger scale and coordinated. That's different from the past. Having said that, all of the areas that we're operating in as of now are areas that we have been at. We're returning to areas where we went in and we went out, and now we're going in simultaneously pretty much into all of those different areas.
And at the same time, we're hearing U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is reportedly pressing Israel and Hamas to reach a deal. What do you think are the main sticking points for both Israel and Hamas in reaching an agreement?
The first aspect is that Israel is acting right now. Hamas very much wants any kind of negotiation to be done when Israel is not acting against them in our active way. I have to tell you, Sivan, my heart goes out. We're talking right now about the 58 hostages, of which we hope 21, 24 are alive, that they are there and they're inside that same Gaza Strip in those areas that we're attacking. At the end, they're probably held underground in that subterranean arena. But the points of contention between Israel and Hamas are going to be mainly on Israel acting and stating very clearly that we're going to do this under fire, and Hamas saying, no, you have to stop before we'll do anything. And that's been a point of contention for a very long time. I absolutely think that Hamas should not be the one defining the rules of the game. That's not good for anybody. Having said that, they are the ones who hold the hostages. We want those hostages back alive. In the sneak preview, you talked about Eli Cohen, who was executed by the Syrians in 1963, and just now we're getting back some of his artifacts. His bones are still in Syria. We don't want to see any of the hostages turning into something which is hidden and not with us for so many years. And I'd say that those points in that sense, under fire, not under fire, are the main points of contention.
And now that de facto Hamas leader in Gaza, Mohammed Sinwar, has reportedly been killed, and there are basically no more living senior Hamas commanders in Gaza at his level or his brother's level, Yahya Sinwar. Could this finally enable, do you think, a breakthrough for the hostages?
I hope so. Having said that, I'm very aware that Hamas has been an entity, a social movement, an educational extreme voice for so many years. They've raised a decade. They ruled there for over what we would call a generation. They were the rulers in the Gaza Strip from 2007. That's 18 years ago. So sadly, Sivan, we all need to be aware that there are other figures who are going to step in. Whoever was close to Mohammed Sinwar, additional figures that we may not have been focused on, that have grown in the last year and a half, and are the ones who are going to continue doing the fighting. So I do hope that it will bring about more of a reasonable idea. But I have to state clearly, Hamas, because its ideology is so extreme, I've never been one of those who thought that through this military pressure we can actually make them change their mind. I am absolutely for, if you can, try to arrest them. They don't want to be arrested, so you end up killing them in that sense. That doesn't bring anybody home. At the end, you have to have somebody who is going to be the one who says, okay, you can release these people, as has happened in the past. If it's not Mohammed Sinwar, it's going to be somebody else. And again, there is no blueprint that says this is the best way to negotiate with essentially the devil, with a terror organization who prefer to execute our hostages rather than A, have us rescue them or in any way get near them. And in this kind of a situation, you have to kind of go on it's a very thin rope, and you want to make sure that you don't push them too far. We don't want to see them killing the hostages that we have. We want to make sure that they come back. But at the end of the day, we don't want Hamas and those leaders defining the rules of the game. That's the tricky situation that we're in.
Mary Eisen, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.